This lesson is about control, who can do what on a Windows machine, and why. Access problems are one of the most common things you'll handle on a help desk. By the end you'll understand account types, why groups exist, how NTFS permissions work, and how to track down a classic access denied ticket. Every action in Windows happens under a user account, and the account type decides what that user may do. A standard user can run apps and change their own settings, but not system-wide ones. An administrator can install software, change system settings, and manage other accounts. The guest account is heavily restricted and usually disabled. The safe default for everyday work is a standard account, and you elevate only when a task truly needs it. You can inspect and create accounts right from the terminal. NetUser on its own lists the local accounts. NetUser, then a name and password, then /add, creates a new account. And NetLocal group adds that user to a group. Remember, a brand new account needs both a password and the right group membership before it's genuinely useful and secure. Now imagine setting permissions on 1,000 files for 50 users, and then someone leaves. Painful. So Windows uses groups. You grant access to a group, say accounting, then add users to that group. When a person's role changes, you simply move them between groups, and the files themselves never need touching. Common built-in groups include administrators, users, and guests. There are two permission systems, and the A+ exam loves the difference. Share permissions apply only when a folder is reached over the network. NTFS permissions apply always, both locally and remotely, and they're far more granular. The golden rule to memorize: when both apply, the most restrictive effective permission wins. If the share says full control but NTFS says read, the remote user gets only read. You read and change NTFS permissions with iCackles, spelled ICACLS. Running it on a folder lists its access control list. The letters are shorthand: F is full control, M is modify, R is read, W is write. You'll also see OINCI flags, which mean the permission is inherited by files and subfolders. Because NTFS always applies, it's the system you'll spend the most time tuning. When a user genuinely needs more access, grant it to the right group, not to the individual person, and give only the level required. Here ICACLS/grant gives the accounting group modify rights on the reports folder, and the OICI flags make that inherit down into files and subfolders. And notice we chose modify, not full control. Always prefer the lower level unless the user must change permissions themselves. This brings us to the single most important idea in this lesson, the principle of least privilege. Give each user only the access they need to do their job, and no more. Why? Because if they make a mistake or their account is hijacked, the damage is contained. In practice, this means standard accounts by default, and elevating only when there's a clear, justified reason. It's a core security expectation in the A+ objectives. Most access denied tickets come down to one of three things. 1. The user is in the wrong group. 2. An NTFS permission is too restrictive. 3. They simply didn't run the tool as administrator. So work it in order. First, check group membership with Huami/groups. Then look at the folder's NTFS permissions with ICACLS. Then confirm whether elevation was needed. That sequence solves the vast majority of access problems. Let's recap. Account types decide what a user may do. Groups make permissions scale, so you manage access in one place. NTFS permissions always apply, and when share and NTFS combine, the most restrictive wins. And least privilege is the habit that limits damage. Your task: on a test machine, open an elevated terminal, run NetUser and Huami/groups, create a folder called C:\lab, Then run ICACLS on it and write 3 lines explaining who can do what and which single group you'd add to give an accounting team modify access. See you next lesson.